Am I the a-hole for not wanting to pay for my brother's wedding? My brother, 32 male, and his fiancée, 29 female, just got engaged and my parents immediately started planning everything. They're so extremely excited despite them being together over 5 years. In my mind, they're already married, but this should be a fun party. I'm pretty sure my brother and his fiancée both make more money than I do, but my parents said we were going to pay for everything. Apparently, that we meant me too. I don't live at home and I guess I make fine money, but I'm finishing up school and not really sure what to do next. My parents told me I was going to pay for the all-inclusive hotel reception, per person with a minimum of 50, so a minimum of about $7,000. I laughed about this and said no, but then they got really serious and said I needed to ask my gift to them. I probably also have to get a gift. Then they made the announcement to the entire family on both sides that I was doing this. I told everyone that I wasn't. My brother and his fiancée never asked me to, but my parents say I have to, and that I'm not being supportive by not helping. I don't have a real reason to not pay for it other than I don't want to. I know it might be selfish, but over $7,000 is a lot for me, and I don't want to spend it on someone else's party. I just don't want to, and now my parents are acting like I'm the a-hole for not wanting to. They say it's tradition, but I don't fully see how. My parents didn't pay for their siblings' weddings and they eloped, so I'm not sure where this tradition would be coming from. I'm conflicted because if I maxed my credit card, then I could pay for the wedding. I just really don't want to. Am I the a-hole? Edit. For those asking/mentioning it, yes, my parents know this would be done on my credit card. When I told them I didn't have the money, they said they'd put it on my credit card. They think that's fine because I just maxed it on my own food and random stuff anyways. To be honest, probably not wrong, so this would stop me from doing that. Also, it's not my money but my credit, which I don't like because I try really hard to have good credit. And my parents have a tendency to expect me to give up my time/space/things/money for my siblings, so this honestly doesn't surprise me much. My brother's been on vacation, where he proposed last week, and doesn't know more than the "we're paying for it" to my knowledge. When I told them again yesterday that I wasn't going to do that, they seemed really insulted and asked why wouldn't you, but hearing that this isn't a normal expectation is really helpful. Thank you. Now for the top comments. I don't want to is a perfectly valid reason since you are not directly involved in the wedding. You are long past the age where your parents can tell you what to do. Not the a-hole. It's much easier to simply say, I don't have the money for that. OP, write a gracious note to your brother saying that while you know he would never ask such a crazy thing, but you feel bad about not being able to contribute to his wedding financially. And so, of course, you want to formally absolve him of his obligation to help pay for your wedding no matter how much your parents insist. Tell everyone that you've already told your brother that he doesn't have to pay for your wedding, so everything is fair, and don't respond further. Not the a-hole. That is just weird. I've heard a lot of wedding traditions, but never this one. Never max your credit card for any party, not even your own wedding. Your parents have cracked. Or are on crack. What the actual heck? Your parents are unhinged. They don't get to decide what to do with your money. It sounds like they can't afford to pay for the wedding, but if that's the case, they should say so, not try to make it your responsibility. Also, if your brother and fiancé have been together for over 5 years, then they can damn well pay for their wedding themselves. Do not put yourself into a bad financial situation by entertaining this nonsense. Say no, and refuse to discuss any further. If they bring it up, hang up or walk away. Not the a-hole. Truthfully, it's not even his money. He'd have to max out his credit card, so it'd be borrowed money. They're trying to spend money he doesn't even have. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not replacing one of my groomsmen after he cheated on a bridesmaid? My fiancé and I are getting married in 2 months. I have 4 groomsmen, including my brother, cousin, a close childhood friend, and close college buddy. My fiancé's best friend was in a long-term relationship with his childhood friend, but unfortunately for her, he got exposed as a cheater. I don't know the details of it, and honestly I don't want to, but I wasn't aware of the cheating prior to the time it was discovered. I feel that his relationship with her is none of my business. My fiancé, on the other hand, does. She now hates him and is demanding that I replace him. She said he'll be a toxic presence to our wedding because the woman he cheated on is going to be a bridesmaid. I was bothered by this. This guy is one of my closest friends. I've known him since we were 18 and I want him to be a groomsman. I said that they both can go and just set aside their beef for one day. After all, the day isn't about them. It's about us, and their relationship is none of our business. She said that she was putting her foot down on this and that my friend wouldn't be in her wedding. I said that if it's that big of a deal, she can drop his ex from the wedding, and that if she doesn't want that, then we can go along with the initial plan. She's been angry at me since and hasn't relented on this. Am I the a-hole? I think you're incredibly naive to think they can just set aside their beef for one day because the wedding is about you and your fiancé. The bridesmaid and your friend are humans, not robots. And your fiancé will have to see your friend there too, and he is a scum in her eyes. Unfortunately, it does sound like you have to choose. I don't blame your fiancé for thinking that because it will cause a needed drama at your wedding. And let's be clear, it's your friend's fault. So if anyone has to be kicked out of the wedding, it should be him, not the bridesmaid. So yeah, technically you're the a-hole. The real landmine being revealed here is that Opie and fiancé have very different views around cheating, as in Opie isn't bothered by it. His fiancé should be paying attention to this. My thoughts exactly. Opie, you're the a-hole. Different views on friendship too. Opie's fiancé doesn't want to put her best friend through needless pain, and is empathetic enough to be bothered by the idea of someone she loves spending her wedding day in some pained charade. Whereas Opie doesn't care, apparently. Even if I planned on an open marriage and concerns about cheating did apply to me, I would not marry someone whose ideas of loyalty or empathy were so incompatible with mine, who was so completely freaking uninterested in supporting a loved one through a difficult time. Can you imagine how emotional that poor girl would be? It's sick that he doesn't care at all about his fiancé and another person's feelings like that. I really hope Opie's fiancé sees this. You're the a-hole. Nice victim blaming. The cheater is the one who gets kicked to the curb. All you are doing is showing your fiancé that you will protect cheaters and give them a pass. She's going to wonder if you do that for your friends. They're likely doing the same for you. I hope she makes this her hill to die on, and she will learn whether she should marry someone who's willing to condone cheating. Edit/update. Fine, I freaking get it. I'll kick one of my best friends out to prove I'm not a cheater. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for telling my uncle's second wife that she needs to understand his first wife will always be important to our family? My uncle Nick was married to my aunt Lana until her death 7 years ago. They were married before I was even born, so I grew up with her. I was 15 when she died, while my cousins, their kids, were 8, 7, and 5. My whole family adored Lana as though she was biologically one of us. They had known her most, if not all, of her life. My uncle met his second wife, Janet, 4 years ago. They started dating a few months later and they got married 2 years ago. Janet has struggled with the fact that Aunt Lana is still remembered by the family. We still mark the anniversary for passing. We remember her birthday and leave stuff on her grave. My cousins talk about her a lot. They say how they wish she was still here. It's not that we dedicate our whole lives to it, but when someone brings up family photos, she's in many of them. Same with old family videos. She was also responsible for the flower garden in my grandparents' house, and there are a lot of memories of her. Janet has asked my parents and grandparents why we feel the need to remember Aunt Lana as though she was their daughter/sister instead of Nick's wife. Once, she grumbled that my youngest cousin spent his art class making something for his mom's grave for Mother's Day instead of making her something. She has asked my parents and grandparents to take down the old family photos that include Lana. It was my cousin's birthday party a couple of weeks ago where both sets of his grandparents were posing for a photo that he had brought up his mom, and Janet started grumbling and sulking that she had come up. I asked her if she was okay, and she said she hated mentions of that woman, that she had never seen in-laws as fond of a late daughter-in-law before, that they actually mourned her passing after so long. She said she had figured she would have stepped into her place by now. I told her she needed to understand that Aunt Lana was part of her history, was a big part of mine, and that she was always going to be part of our family and someone we loved. I told her we could love both of them, but as long as she competes with my aunt, she won't ever be able to get close to us, because she never tries to hide her feelings, and we can't just act like someone we love didn't exist. She had a tantrum where she called me an insensitive witch. She told me that I should have been dropping to my knees and apologizing for making her feel less than, but instead tell her she has no right to expect her place in the family to be put before a dead woman. I was shocked, as were the rest of the family who were very unhappy with her, especially Uncle Nick. But I do feel kind of bad. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Yo, what? She got mad because your cousin made something for their mother's grave? Not the a-hole. If you compete with the dead, even more so when they were well loved when they were alive, you're gonna lose. Hands down. I thought the same. She should stop trying erasing people and earn her own space. Exactly. She should be helping those kids celebrate their mother and forming her own niche herself. I know a man who lost his wife after a long struggle with cancer. She was the rock of the family, a huge part of the community, and an amazing woman. A few years later, the husband remarried. The second wife moved into the family home, and one of the first things she did was to set up a section of the living room to contain photos of her being the first wife, her and the husband, and her and the kids. She is incredibly respectful of the memory of the first wife, and because of that, she has created a space for herself and the family. I think it speaks volumes that you left that disagreement feeling bad, and she left it feeling angry. She sounds bitter and insecure. That's not on you or your family. That's a her thing. I always taught my kids that you can never have too much love in your life. That goes for people that have died as well. You'll never forget them, nor stop loving them. Clearly no one ever taught your aunt that lesson. I feel bad for your cousins. You're clearly not the a-hole, and I hope she gets some clarity. Like, sometimes people come into relationships like this and expect people to forget certain people because they're dead. Sorry, that is not how that works. Wild. Now, for the last story, am I the a-hole for cursing at my sister-in-law? For context, I, Charlotte, 30 female, and my husband, Cameron, 41 male, got married 3 years ago. We met when I was 24 and he was 35. My husband is a wealthy man, but I had no insight into his salary/savings, etc. when we married, and it was not a factor in my falling in love with him at all. We have an age gap of 11 years, and while the rest of my husband's family are fine with us, his sister, Amy, 39 female, has always been weird about it. When we got married, in her speech, she made a comment about how when I was born, my husband was in middle school. I would have been fine with this comment, but the way she said it rubbed me in the wrong way. She made a few quips about me living the easy life and using my husband's credit card, etc. She basically made it seem like I was a gold digger in front of mine and my husband's entire family. This really angered me because I earn a good wage myself and I love my work. I didn't say anything about it, however, because I wanted to keep the peace. And over the years at family gatherings, she made comments about me using her brother as a human credit card. She would always give me a dirty look. And when we were one-on-one, she would tell me that my husband deserved better than someone who uses him for his money, and how she earns much more than me. This is just an insight into why my patience with her was thinning. Fast forward 4 years, I am pregnant with mine and my husband's first child. We had a baby shower of sorts, in which my husband's sister was invited. I was hesitant to invite her as I had never clicked with her at all, and frankly I disliked her. During the party, I was talking to my other sister-in-law, Kelly, 36 female, whom I am close to as she is a great friend, and I just get along with her better. Amy was drinking, not heavily, when she came over and saw me and Kelly talking happily. She made a snippy comment about how I always left her out, and how she was always being pushed out of her brother's life by me, like how at my wedding she wasn't a bridesmaid but Kelly was. This was because I got along well with Kelly, and met my husband because I was friends with her, so of course she was in my wedding party. I was already at my wit's end with Amy after a comment she made about me using this baby to trap my husband into never getting a divorce. So I said to her, why would I make you my bridesmaid when you're such a witch to me all the time for no goddamn reason? There's always a problem with you. And frankly, Amy, I'm done with your BS. Go F yourself. And stormed off. My husband was upset that I'd said those things, but he understood why I felt that way, and that he would speak to Amy about it. Amy told my in-laws what I said, and I got a call from my mother-in-law asking me to apologize to Amy for what I said. Amy has also contacted me and told me repeatedly that I am an a-hole. I have spoken to my mother-in-law about how Amy has been saying rude things the whole time me and my husband have been together, and that I would not apologize to Amy. And if she wanted to meet her niece or nephew, that she would have to apologize to me. And now Amy is blowing up my phone even more. So am I the a-hole? I feel like what I said was justified, but maybe my pregnancy hormones are making me act irrationally. Edit? Since many people have commented, yes. My husband has spoken to his sister about her behavior and asked her to stop, but she gets upset and says that he's choosing me over her. Not the a-hole. Amy's family, especially your husband, should have addressed her comments and behaviors years ago. If they had, you wouldn't have felt that way you did at that moment. You owe no apologies unless Amy apologizes for bullying you for so long. Thank you. Like you said, she has always made comments about how I'm using her brother, and I'm so sick of it. My husband has confronted her about this on several occasions, but she just brushes it off and tells him to stop choosing his wife over his flesh and blood. Next time she says something like that, hit her with this. He did not choose his family. None of us do. He did, however, choose you as his wife. His primary family is now you and that baby, the family he chose to create. I'd be willing to bet if he actually had to choose between you, she'd lose. Warn her not to push it that far for her own sake. That's a very good point. But she's always been attached to my husband, and they're close. But they've drifted since this rift between me and her. Thank you for your support. Update 1. I have seen and read all of your guys' comments, and I'm so grateful you all agree with me. I have tried to respond to all of you, but there's so many of you. I have decided to confront my husband about her and tell him that I want to go no contact with his sister. I will update you guys when I do. Update 2. I've spoken to my husband about going no contact with Amy, and I showed him this post and your guys' comments, and he told me I was totally out of line. He said that he would not stop talking to his sister, and that's ridiculous. He said that the idea of his sister never meeting our kid is ludicrous. I'm sat in the bathroom crying. I don't know what to do. He told me that this whole situation has been blown out of proportion and that the internet is feeding me a pack of lies. I know that this isn't an advice sub, but I need to know what to do. I don't want Amy anywhere near my precious baby. I've listened to you guys and I totally agree. But what's my next step here? I'm considering posting something to relationship advice because I genuinely don't know what to do.